In addition to the base fare of your cruise, cruisers must budget extra for gratuities, which are tips for the crew members. Gratuities are divided to help cover the cost of everyone who works to make your vacation special, including your cabin stewards, dining and culinary staff, the guest services team, and others who work behind the scenes and contribute to the overall cruise experience. Many first-time cruisers are confused about how tipping works on board cruise ships and may find themselves asking questions like, who do you need to tip on board, and do you have to tip on a cruise? To help you better understand gratuities on a cruise, here are the 11 do's and don'ts of tipping on a cruise ship so that you can be well informed before your next vacation. First, you should know how much your daily rate will be. There is not one fixed rate that all cruise lines adhere to. Rather, it differs between each cruise line and the stateroom category you book. Additionally, those staying in suites will pay more than those staying in standard cabins. However, everyone in standard interior, ocean, and balcony cabins will pay the same rate. Some of the most popular cruise lines, including Carnival Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean and Norwegian, have gratuities that range from $16 to $18 and upwards of $23 for those staying in suites. For example, Norwegian Cruise Line charges $25 per person per day for their Haven Suite experience, while Royal Caribbean charges $18.50 for standard cabins and $21 for suites. But don't forget to bring enough cash to cover tipping during shore excursions as well. Gratuities only cover tips on board the ship, so you'll want to make sure that you bring cash to tip your tour guides on excursions. If you're traveling internationally, you will want to bring a local currency, such as euros or Norwegian kroners. US dollars, however, are fine if you're traveling to the Bahamas or the Caribbean. If you're on a private tour, you'll want to bring even more than those going on cruise line sponsored or third-party group excursions. Also, you do want to understand what gratuities cover. The daily gratuity for each passenger pays to cover the services of crew members on board, and is divided among the dining, bar, and culinary teams, stateroom attendants, as well as the hotel service team. Because gratuities are automatically charged daily, you don't need to worry about tipping each crew member throughout the cruise. That being said, many passengers do like to leave extra cash tips for their cabin steward and dining room waiters because they are personally attended to during their cruise. But do not have all of your gratuities removed once on board. If you're unhappy with the service you received during your cruise, you may want to speak to the guest services team and have the daily rate adjusted or even completely removed. However, this is really frowned upon. Instead of removing the gratuities, visit guest services as soon as any issues arise. They will work to get them resolved promptly. That said, if you decide to remove the gratuities, please tip the crew members directly that gave you the best service. Also, you do want to understand what purchases are subject to an additional service fee. Certain purchases on the ship are subject to an additional service fee. In short, it is just a gratuity for the service provided, whether it's crafting an alcoholic beverage, serving you in a specialty restaurant, or making sure that you leave the spa feeling like a brand new person. The percentage varies by cruise line. Royal Caribbean, for instance, charges 18% on beverages, so if you order a $14 cocktail, your total will actually end up being $16.52. You can expect this to be anywhere from 15% to 20% depending on the cruise line you're sailing with. They also charge 20% on spa treatments, so a $150 massage would actually cost you $180. Though cruise lines have duty-free stores, the extra service charge is to help support the crew members who provide the personal service. You should not feel obligated, though, to tip every additional service. Since gratuities are automatically added to most services on a cruise, you don't need to add any extra tip every time you order a drink or you're assisted by a crew member. When you get the receipt for your purchase, you'll notice that there is a line for an additional gratuity. However, you can just leave this blank. At the end of the cruise, some people will tip for their stateroom attendant and their dining staff. If you feel like this is something you want to do, you don't need to worry about leaving them a tip every single night. You can just do it on the last day. And in this way, you should bring small bills. There are some instances where you'll be thankful that you brought small bills with you, and one of those is being even before you step foot on the ship. When you arrive at the cruise terminal, there will be porters there to grab your luggage. It is customary to tip them about $1 to $2 per bag for their service. If you are a family of 4 with 4 large suitcases, that means you should be tipping around $8 to $10. Additionally, even though you are not required to tip extra on drink or spa purchases, you may feel that the service warrants it. In that case, it's always nice to be able to directly hand the bartender or spa specialist some cash, especially if the cash will help you stick to a budget. Some cruisers even swear by giving a bartender a tip at the beginning of the cruise to claim that it gets them better service. This, however, is not guaranteed to happen. Also, do not tip the youth staff. The youth programming on board cruise ships is one of the reasons why they make a great family vacation, and what makes it even better is that most of the services are included in the cost of your base fare. Some cruise lines and ships may offer late night babysitting for an additional fee. However, daytime programming will not cost you anything extra. At the end of the cruise, you may feel like you should tip the staff members who kept your kids safe and entertained while you got some much needed adults only time. Since this is included in the cost of your cruise, you don't need to worry about leaving an extra gratuity. Also, don't forget to prepay your gratuities in advance. Prepaying your gratuities in advance means that you'll be able to appropriately budget for your cruise vacation. This can be done when you make your initial deposit as well as before embarkation by directly calling the cruise line. If you booked through a travel agent, they'll be able to assist you with getting them prepaid. A major benefit of prepaying the gratuities is that you'll be able to make payments since the total will be factored into your final payment amount. In other words, you can add your gratuities and pay them off like the rest of your cruise fare rather than paying them all at once when your cruise ends. Plus, you are locked into the current rate, so if the cruise line increases their gratuities, you won't be subject to the higher rate. Also, do research your cruise fare to see if they're included. While most mainstream cruise lines do not include gratuities, many luxury cruise lines do, such as Regent Seven Seas Cruises, Silversea Cruises, and Seabourn. Of course, you are paying a premium to cruise on these lines, and most of them are as close to an all-inclusive vacation as you can get. That being said, some inclusive rates from mainstream cruise lines like Princess Cruises and Virgin Voyages also include gratuities. Before settling on a specific line, you'll want to research to see if the tips are an extra cost or not. Also, don't prepay your gratuities if you have onboard credit. Though I usually recommend that all cruisers prepay their gratuities so that they don't have to worry about them later, this is one exception. If you have onboard credit and you don't plan on using it for shore excursions, drinks, or Wi-Fi packages, you might as well use this free money to cover your gratuities. All right, everybody, that is all we have for today. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure and like and subscribe to Cruise Blogs so that you can be notified every time we have a new video. Until next time, happy cruising.